Hey everybody, on my way back to California, stopping for the night. Tack för sist, välkommen tillbaka, thanks for being here. Brain's a little foggy just from sitting in the truck all day. I had something I want to talk about. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on it here. I think I'll do a follow-up video when I'm more settled. But I wanted to talk because yesterday I changed it up a little. I did the retirement video and I want to do more about that. I love finances. I love investing. That kind of stuff is super cool to me. But I want to go back to not Mormonism, but Christianity in general. What is Christianity? You know, it should be an easy answer. And I kind of know in my mind what I think it is, or what I feel it is. But when you look around at all of the different churches that claim to be Christian churches, there's so many discrepancies in there. I mean, everybody believes basically in God and Jesus Christ and, the Holy Spirit, that kind of thing. But when you look at, there are ones that a lot of people would call cults, including my ex-church, the LDS church. There are people that would say that's a cult. I say it all the time. I don't believe it is. But that's open to your interpretation. So there are churches I do believe are cults, and I'm not going to name them because I don't want to offend anybody. But people worship so differently all over and it also depends on what part of the country you're in. I've traveled all over this country working for damn near 40 years now. I've seen a little bit of everything. And people definitely, for instance, in the South, they worship differently than they do in Montana or North Dakota. Texas has its own kind of thing going on. I don't know the East as well, but I'm sure it's a little different there too. And then you have all the different churches. For centuries, Christianity was basically the Catholic Church. And it was very ruthless at times. That's something I want to do a video on, not to be critical of the Catholic Church, just to explore history. There were some ruthless centuries in the church there. Martin Luther was kind of the start of all the Protestant churches, separating away from the Catholic Church. I'm sure there were things before that. People talk about the Knights Templar was almost a religion. That'd be another cool subject to go into. I'm fascinated by the Knights Templar. Anything to do with, the search for the Holy Grail, which I understand there's myth mixed into all that stuff. I still find it fascinating. But yeah, Martin Luther was kind of I keep wanting to add king to the end of it, but Martin Luther was kind of the start, and it just spread. And I think it started to give people permission to maybe worship differently and not just follow one church that, in fairness, had been, like I said, very brutal. There are still things happening today, but it's not just them. It's all religions have some flaws and some bad people in them. That's just human nature. One thing you find when you study history, especially going way back to the Greeks, to the Romans, to the Egyptians, human nature doesn't change. Society changes some, technology obviously, but the basic human nature, if you go back and you read the writings of a lot of these ancient, wise people, it's a lot of the same complaints we have today. Mark Twain, which obviously wasn't thousands of years ago, said, if you read the news, you're misinformed. If you don't read the news, you're uninformed. Has that changed at all today? That's over 100 years ago? So I find it all fascinating, but I find, the different denominations of Christianity very interesting. I was watching Mormon Stories with, I always forget the guy's name. Dellin is his last name, but I can't remember his first name, sorry. He had on an ex-Seventh-day Adventist lady, a two-part that I found fascinating. I think it was 5 hours long total. I listened to the whole thing. I've actually listened to quite a few of his podcasts. I enjoy them, especially, if I see a title or a thumbnail that piques my interest. And that one did, because I thought I knew more about Seventh-day Adventists than I do. She filled me in on a lot of stuff, including the number of members in that church. I did not realize I think she said 25 million. The Mormon church claims like 17.9 million. So it's a bigger church, but it's kind of a church nobody's really heard of. And a lot of the founding, a lot of the practices kind of are similar to the Mormon church, founded around the same time, a little bit after Joseph Smith. But if there's interest in this topic, I want to delve into this a lot deeper and kind of get all my ducks in a row, have some facts ready. I feel like I'm fairly versed on just general history. I'm no expert probably on any single matter. I feel like a little bit of jack of all trades, and obviously there's lots of gaps in my knowledge because history is gigantic. But I really enjoy it. I listen to a lot of historical novels, fictional historical novels. I dig the whole thing, and that includes, Christianity, which is 2,000 years old. The Old Testament, they obviously weren't Christians. Christ hadn't been born yet. So if it seems like there's some interest in this video, I'm gonna follow up on this further. I'm gonna leave it here for now. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you subscribing, the thumbs up. I find the comments and just going back and forth fascinating, even when you don't agree with me. It's totally cool. I'm a big boy, I can handle it. As long as it's relatively respectful, I'll probably respond. I've gotten a few that to me are just, and I'm just not gonna dignify them. But feel free to comment. I love it. I read them all. I've been trying to go back on some older videos, which I didn't realize were getting more views. I don't know that I can ever catch up on all those, but I will do my best, and I will try to stay current on the current videos. I appreciate it so much. I hope you have a beautiful day. It's a gorgeous day here. You can see the mountain in the background. Peace, love.